What up, guys? What up? What up? So let me just get things started real quick. I need to figure out how to do this better, but um, let's see. Yeah, I need to change my title information. This is not right. Um, Let me save this. Damn it, this is not what I wanted. Alright, cool. Alright, nice. Got that set up. I think my changes went through. Hey, what up, guys? What up? What up? So, I'm actually going live a bit later than what I wanted to. Had some. We went live in one of our integration projects yesterday. There was a few things, little bugs here or there on their side, on our side. Things that just weren't really addressed when we did our testing, like carrier information. Now that when we're live, certain trade partners have specific carrier information, but they weren't providing that in the integration. So we had to build, just add some rules. If it's this trade partner, default it to, let's say, UPS. If it's this trade partner, default it to FedEx, and so on. Little stuff like that. Again, my schedule was to go live today from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the reason why I picked that schedule, 11 to 1, is I know I have a good amount of international followers. So I want to be able to give them the time as well to join some of the live streams, to if they need help with their Python code or whatever it is that they need help with. They could join on the live stream. That's the whole purpose, right? The whole purpose of the live stream is to join. So if you do need help, we could talk about that. We could, I know one of the things I get a lot on some of my videos, people implement the code, but then they get certain error messages. Like they get an authentication error message, they get denied access error message or whatever, right? They get these error messages. So ultimately, the live streams was very beneficial. If you need help, if you're having problems with your code, and you're getting all these errors, perfect time, man. Let's join the live stream. Let me know what your issue is, and then we could kind of walk through it together. I could run the code on my side, especially if it's a video that I made, and then we could try to figure out what is the error, right? We could kind of try to mimic the errors, like replicate it if possible, and hopefully try to help you out. Or maybe just you need help. You want me to review your source code. If you're new to programming, you have questions about Python programming and so on, by all means, that's the whole purpose of the live streams. So again, guys, if you have questions, whatever it is, let me know. Put it in the chat. If you need help, you want me to review your code, perhaps, or anything of that sort, man, go ahead and let me know as well. If you do have code, for example, that you want me to look at, go ahead and email it to me if you want. And and again, we'll make sure if you do send me stuff, that you don't have credentials embedded or none of that stuff, right? Just to kind of avoid whatever I do show. Um, I don't want to show nothing that shouldn't be shown right on the live stream either. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. I'm gonna put in the chat. You can email me at contact@iamlou.net. But again, guys, I know a lot of people have issues. A lot of people have issues running some the code of some of the videos that, for example, that I put out there. So if you happen to be one of them, just let me know, man. Be more than happy to help y'all out. Let's see. So one of the things I do, we probably could test out right now is. So do you want to talk about a specific subject real quick? So before we move on, let me go ahead and show this real quick. So let me show my screen. So I had a question. Somebody asked about, hey, I have an ETL. I want to create an ETL process. I have these files that I want to process, and I want to go ahead and use EMR, AWS EMR service for it. So of course my response to them is, well, why EMR, and why not Glue, for instance, and again, as we started talking, realized that I don't think they really understood the difference of Glue and EMR. I think it was more one of those deals where they probably heard EMR could do ETLs, so they're thinking, oh, this is more feature rich, right? So let's go with that. Now I would say that it's a bit more complicated because EMR is very broad. It's not like for ETL processing only, where for Glue it was strictly more so designed for ETL processing. EMR can do ETL processing, but it gives you way more flexibility to do all kinds of other stuff using your own tools, right? Spark, Hadoop, Hive. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many things you could do, right? It's very you could have it set up where your data science team could easily access the raw data to do their quick analysis on the fly, where you could have processes, again, ETL processes that are extracting, transforming the data, and ultimately load it to a data warehouse. So again, it does ETL processing by all means, but at the same time, it does all these other stuff. And the setup is a little bit more intense. So unless you have a big team or a decent team and you're going to be using it for different purposes, but if the only goal you have is, I got files and I need to just extract, transform, and load the files right to a data warehouse. If that's all you're doing, I would probably just go with AWS Glue, man, for those cases. So if you're doing that and some, or maybe your transformation is a lot more complicated, and you're dealing with big data, that's the other thing too. Let's say you're dealing with billions and billions of rows of data, then EMR, it will be probably the more ideal solution in those cases. But most people, I don't think they're dealing with that kind of data sets anyways. So that's why I would say in most cases, AWS Glue should be fine. So let's talk about some Python stuff. Again, guys, if you have any questions related to Python, leave it in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have and so forth. So I want to talk about Python because one of the things that I feel Python doesn't get enough credit for is, how can I say this? So I kind of feel for some reason, I don't know why, like, and it's very subjective, right? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not consistent. I have talked to programmers, even follow some programmers on social media and things of that nature. Let me give you an example. Programmers that have been, I'm gonna pick programmer A. He's been coding for 20 plus years. He's been coding in C++ for the longest. C++, C sharp. Just for kind of give an example, let's say C++. He's coding in these languages, and then they, start using Python for whatever reason, right? But they start using Python. They actually like it. Like, they like it a lot. And for them, it's like they fall in love with it. Like, dude, this is like, they just enjoy it. And they enjoy it because they look at it as, well, the same task that I'm trying to accomplish, I could do it in Python, let's say, in an hour, where in C++, it would have took me 20 hours to do, right? Just for an example, something similar like that. And I think their mindset, their view is not looking at it as, oh, Python is way slower to C++, and because it's way slower, I'm not going to be able to get things done as quickly as I like. I think the engineers that have that mindset where it's like they're used to coding, let's say in the C++ type language, but then they switch to Python and they love it. I think they understand that even though C++ is 1,000 times faster than Python, in real world scenarios, it doesn't matter. Most of the time, it doesn't matter. Unless you're coding to the level of games, unless you're a software engineer, again, coding like missile algorithms or, like rockets and things of that nature where speed is ideal, you need that power. Most scenarios, it doesn't matter, man. Like, so kind of going back, like what is the one thing that can be used often for Python that's out there a lot today? Well, a web app. That's a good example, right? There's, even though there's a lot of mobile apps out there, web apps is very, there's many web apps out there, many, right? Because they could use on mobile devices and on the browser, so it kind of works both ways. And for an application, like a web app, most likely your bottleneck is not going to be the language. It's not going to be like, oh, because Python is that much. Let me put it this way. People do not create web apps in C++. They don't. I'm not saying that you can't, but what I'm saying is that people don't do it. What do people use? They use Node, JavaScript, they use PHP. They use C Sharp. They use Java, Ruby on Rails. They use Python. Just kind of name a few. Some people still rocking Perl. I mean, so again, those are the more languages that you're more likely to see. I get it, right? The argument could be, see, well, Python not used as much. I get it. It's, I totally agree with that, right? PHP is without a doubt the winner when it comes to web in general, just because of WordPress. There's so many websites out there using WordPress, so that's why that's a king. But my point is trying to make is, I feel that Python gets this bad rap because it's kind of like, well, Python's slow, so it shouldn't be used for web apps. If you create a web app, you should use PHP, or you should use something like C Sharp or Java, right? My thing is, though, I don't know a lot of people really understand most apps that people build in general, right? Even you, if you're a developer, if you build an app, most apps that are out there today, the bottleneck is not the language. The bottleneck is a database. The database is the bottleneck, right? Database may not be indexed properly. Database doesn't have a lot of resources. I mean, the list goes on and on. That's where the bottleneck, because every time, again, most applications, you got to, when you hit submit, search, or whatever on the UI, well, that had to go call the database and retrieve data and, then display it on the browser. It's not, most of the time, man, again, like 98% of the time, it's not the language. that's causing performance issues. It isn't, man. Which is number one. Number two, um, since it's not the language that's causing these bottlenecks, it's most likely the database. And the other thing, though, the way I look at it now is, dude, resources are getting in abundance now. Like, I mean, look at how technology is changing, man. Like, we have DDR5. Like, that's the speed on that is like crazy fast, right? CPUs are getting faster per core. So now, like servers, Zions, and all these other, Threadrippers and so on, that have many cores. Normally, the power for each core is kind of more limited, but even though they're getting more powerful, like we'll be with Zion processor or even with ARM processors, right? That it's gonna be, 5, gigahertz, per core type processing. So everything just getting faster, man. The hardware getting faster, which means for language like that's considered slow as Python, because the hardware is getting that much more faster, it is going to make your language that much more faster by default. Now that means all the other languages are going to get faster too, but again, it all depends on what task you're trying to do at the moment, at the time. And it's not an issue, man. I mean, I always look back on how when Google got started, right? When you take a look at it, when they first got, pushed out their Google search, it was using Python behind the scenes. So of course, it's kind of like the question becomes, well, damn, well, why not use, at the time, there was other more faster languages. C# was around back then. Now it was more enclosed, I guess, to use it, but nevertheless, it was a Java. Better yet, Java was available back then, so why not use Java? They could have. That would have been way faster to go live. But I think that the piece that I feel a lot of engineers miss is, instead of trying to over-engineer an app that you have no idea it's even going to be successful or not, it could fail, it could flop, who knows, is push it out. You want to push it out fast. And that's where Python becomes very, where it exceeds that, because you could build an app ASAP and push it out fast. And then you could try it out, see if the market likes it, see if there's a demand for your app, because maybe there is no demand. So it's like, okay, all that work that you're trying to accommodate for speed and make sure that it could handle, a gajillion billion requests per minute and all the other stuff that you're trying to optimize, load balancing. You want to have everything working perfectly. None of that matters, not a damn thing, if nobody comes to your damn app. So I'd rather spend, half the time of development to push something out to see if the market likes it, knowing that even if it does take off, right, and it starts to grow little bit by little bit, that it's not going to crash the system. System's still going to be able to handle language, going to still be able to handle thousands of requests or even millions of requests per minute, because it can. Now once you get to the point where maybe you're doing billions of requests a minute because you got that much traffic, then by all means, that is where you do look into a more robust language that can handle those transactions, right? Concurrency and all this other stuff. But I don't think but again, in my mind, I'm looking at it from business. If you're at that point, at that time, that means your business is probably doing very well, which means if it's doing well, you could hire engineers that could all help you out to now upgrade the back end to a more robust language. Like, that's my view, and that's what Google did. They used Python, and then they did it for a few years to eventually the traffic was just too much. So then they upgraded. I'm not sure. I believe they may be using Java. I'm assuming, but I'm not 100% sure. At least I think they were using Java initially. They may still be using it. I'm not sure they ever upgraded that, swapped it out to like Golang or something, but who knows, right? I'm not sure about that. Again, guys, if you have any questions, anything related to Python programming, leave it in the chat, man. Let me know. Be more than happy to kind of help you out and see what I could do to help you out. If you have any code that you want me to review, again, send it at my email, contact iamblue.net. Be more than happy to take a look at it. And yeah, man, and we could review it together live on the live stream. Just make sure not to include any, again, credentials or any sensitive information, and then that should be fine. Let's see. Let's see. What do you want to go over now? Hopefully next week, man. I should be on earlier as well. Again, the plan was to be on. I'm not sure what are the good times to be on. For example, when on the middle of the day. That's where, again, I'm gonna have to trial and error, try to figure out which times work best and which times do not. But nevertheless, I was trying to get on earlier, more like at 11. More for my international folks, right? So by then, at least it may be late, but it's not like 3 in the morning late. Maybe like 10 o'clock at night, 11, whatever. And give them time to join as well. I need to do a video, man, over my setup. I know I've been getting questions about my setup. Because I have a new build, which is what I'm actually streaming on right now. And I have another station, another setup, which is for gaming, and everything's good, everything works. I do feel, though, I have some issues, and I think it has to do with the motherboard, because I noticed my RAM. I don't know why it does this, but it does this normally only when if I reboot. Then whenever my PC starts again, I get an error message for RAM, like the little light comes on the motherboard. It's RAM related. So what I have to do, I have to like pop out the RAM, put it back in, then it starts. So I don't know. It's almost like it must not be getting good connection for some reason. So initially I thought it was the RAM. I bought new RAM sticks, tried it, still having the same issue. So I'm pretty confident about the RAM. I think it's just the motherboard. I mean, I had it for three and a half years, maybe 4 years. Still, it shouldn't be going bad, but I don't know. That's my assumption. But I'm going to upgrade anyways. I think I have a 3700X AMD. I'm going to upgrade that. I'm still not sure. I may get a 5950 AMD Ryzen. And then I do have a GPU it's a beefy GPU, 6900 XT. That's awesome. It really is. Then ultimately that will be my gaming station, where my streaming station that I have over here, I have a 3070 Ti with a 12900K Intel, and then of course I have a DDR5, and again that's where I'm streaming at now. But I feel I have Windows 11. I don't know if it's Windows 11 or if it's maybe some of the drivers related to the new motherboard, because it is fairly new, because of that DDR5. But every once in a while, man, it just kind of gets a little weird, like my mouse. It's almost like my inputs, like my USB, for example, for my keyboard and mouse, just kind of quickly disconnects and reconnects. It's very strange, man. I don't quite understand it. But let's go ahead and do some testing. So one of the things that I'm gonna do is let me connect to my remote PC, and let me see. I got an email from somebody. Let me find, not an email, my bad. I got a message. They're having issues related to so this kind of relates to connecting to SharePoint. So they're having a authentication against Office 365 issue. So let's try to replicate that issue and see what we could figure out here. There's some of these issues are kind of tough, man, to debug, but I'm gonna try to do my best that I can. So let's see. So let me close out of this project. Close folder. Let me open up. I'll show my screen in a minute. Maybe sandbox. There goes Python Sharepoint list. Damn it, that's not it. So let me go to YouTube. So the video they're talking about is upload to SharePoint using Python. Okay, so let me just kind of try to keep it consistent. Let me find that project if I have it. I don't think I have that. I mean, I know I could clone the source. There it goes. Upload SharePoint file. Man, this is an old video that I did. I did it back in 2020. Okay, I think I could share everything that I'm seeing here. So, yep. Let me go ahead and share it. Okay, so if we take a look, so the error that they're getting is he didn't provide me the whole error, but it's ultimately relating to error authenticating against Office 365. So normally that's going to be most likely probably this guy over here, this section of the code. So where he provides username, password, and then the URL. He's getting an error here in this section. So we're going to try to reproduce this error as well. So, but before I do that, I don't have a requirements file. Let me go ahead and okay, just making sure this config copy actually has my correct credentials. So I'm not going to show it, but at least I could run that file. So this is just an example of what we're going to set in our JSON file. Let me make it slightly bigger because I know it's a little bit small. Okay, cool. So knowing what the issue is, what I need to do first though, let me go ahead and open up my terminal. So let's go to C code YouTube. What is this called? Upload file to SharePoint. Got it. So the next thing I need to create is a virtual environment. So let's get that created. Again, guys, if you're not familiar, always create your virtual environment. Always create it. Even if you're just testing, doesn't matter. Always create your virtual environment. So you gotta call Python -m v -nv for environment, then you gotta give it a name. The name I'm gonna give it gonna be v-nv. So you will see a folder over here created. And then next I'm going to, we notice a new environment. Do you want to select this? And you, yes. So go ahead and add it. So now I want to activate my environment. Scripts, activate. And then now I'm gonna install Shareplump. Okay, cool. So now that I have this, I'm installed. I got that installed. So we know it's going to read this config file, which right now does not have the correct credentials or nothing. So let me stop sharing my screen. Let me go to the right file that I have. And let me go ahead and connect to my Office 365 account. Let me connect to Sharepoint. Let's see. Let me go to my development folder. All right, cool. So now let me set my password and get all of that set. I did have it set already, but it was for another account. So I'm gonna use the one that I used for my YouTube videos, my iamlu.net account. And what is this? iamlu. It is called development as well. Let's see, what is my folder called? It's called data. So for example, let me just kind of show my screen so at least you see what I'm doing. So this is a SharePoint, and ultimately this is a folder that we're gonna load files into the data. So, but I want to, again, the issue right now is with the authentication. So I know if I run it now, it should work. But so we have filed, pass, blah blah blah, upload. Again, this is really not the issue yet, because if we look at the upload file, it needs to do a connection first. The connection does the authentication, and this is where the authentication is, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify my email account, where I know my email is going to be incorrect. Okay, so because I know it's going to be incorrect, I'm going to run it, and I want to see what error message do I get. So let's run this. It will be Python project. Let's run. Okay, there you go. So here's an error that we're getting. Let's see what we're getting before. Oh damn, never mind. I need to open this back up. So the error that he was getting, same error that I was getting here. Authentication against Office 365, error from Office 365, blah blah blah. So this is the exact error that they got, right? So I did respond back to the viewer, and I told them, hey, this seems to be more likely related to username or password. He came back and pretty much said my password contains the @ character, because that's the other thing that I'm not 1% sure. I need to probably test that out, but I swear, no, you know what? My password has the @ too, and that symbol. So let me remove this and see if this is an issue. Okay, so let's run it. Boom, still have an error authenticating. So that's interesting. It is under URL, username, password, get tokens, security tokens, blah blah blah. Let's see if it's something else. Yep, this is. Oh, duh. I'm pointing to the wrong file. I'm pointing to this file. Never mind. Damn it. Okay, so let me. Alright, let me change it to the other file, which is the copy. Oops. Copy.json file. Okay, well, that's one error. Now let's try it again. Okay, so now it's authenticating, and this is a different issue, right? It makes sense. So the authentication did work. Let me go ahead, and that's because I fixed my credentials. I'm gonna give it an incorrect username. So I'm just gonna be curious. Let's test that out and see how that works. So I gave it an incorrect username. When I run it, this is a different error. Error authenticating against Office 365. Error from Office. Let's see, no tenant ID. Okay, this is because I gave it a wrong email account, right? So now let me go back. I'm gonna fix my user account, and I'm gonna give it an incorrect password. Okay, so let me do that. I'm gonna change the password. I'm gonna make that to be incorrect, and but the username's fine. So now I got a different error. Error authenticating against Office, but this is more specific. This says invalid error validation credentials due to invalid username and password. Okay, so I think it's safe to say that the username and password, even if they're wrong, they will not produce the error message that the end user is getting. Okay, so that being said, let me go back and let me fix my password. So if we look at the code in our project, right, because the error is happening, like, where did it happen? Error's happening on, there it goes, this line 22 right here. The only other thing that could be wrong is the SharePoint URL. The SharePoint URL, which is this guy right here. It should be your subdomain sharepoint.com. Alright, so let me make this incorrect to see if I get the same error. So I'm gonna make it incorrectly. Let's change it up. Okay, so now let me go ahead and run this, and let's see what we get. Damn, it's taking a while. Well, that's kind of odd. The username and password is correct. What I made incorrect was, okay, so what I made incorrect was my subdomain. As you could tell right here, this is my subdomain, IamLou. It should be IamLou. I made it IamLou33, which all this did was failed to connect. So that's not the error mess. That's not the right issue here. Okay, so now let me go back. Let me change something else. So let me maybe change the URL, like the domain, not the subdomain, but the actual domain, which I still think is going to be an issue. But let me just change it to something else. Let me run it. Okay, boom. What did this say? Error authenticating as Office 365 was not able to find an error code. Here's what we found. Authenticating, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's the thing. Normally when you get this kind of error message here, where it tells you cannot find an error, this is more likely because you're dealing with an on-prem SharePoint. So for example, on-prem, the subdomain is not sharepoint.com. The domain is not sharepoint.com. The actual domain for an on-prem it's going to be your domain, your corporate domain, whatever you have, right? Whatever the company set up, which is really unique, whatever it is that you have. So normally, if you try to put that in here, you're gonna get an error message. So that is not the issue. So I'm trying to think now. Authenticating against Office 365. The only thing I could think of, and this is invalid STS requests. So let's see. Let's do some research real quick over this. This is gonna be SharePoint login error, invalid STS requests. Let's see what we get. Connection failed, invalid. So let's see. What do they have? So this is the same type of error that I'm getting. What is this for though? Invalid STS request usually comes because either the username or the password contains invalid XML characters. See, that's where I was still leaning toward that it was password related. This could also happen if you do not have on the password element of the username token. I'm having the same problem. Username and password don't have invalid characters. I'm extremely new to SharePoint, so I could be missing something. If your comment is the issue, can you explain in newbie term what would be needed to fix? I'm trying to get. Does that mean I made the changes incorrectly, or? Well, never mind. When I started tracking through the code, I realized the password and username field were not being passed because settings were not actually being accessed. Ends up redeclaring setting to the file I was looking with, and then was able to authenticate. So here's a different issue. Yeah, same with me here. The global keyword might not be able to reference to setting variable if you are deep in class name scope. If your password has special characters, it can interfere with XML syntax. Please try only alphanumeric password. Propose to close this one since it was determined the root cause was either missing user credentials or special characters that need to be escaped. Let's see. I wonder if it has to do with the password, because I'm not sure what. Again, it's kind of hard, but I'm not sure what character they're actually using. Let's see. This is one way to do it. So let me try something. I'm gonna try one more thing, and let's see if this could be potentially an issue. I'm gonna add it toward the end. And now let's run it. See, same thing though. In this case, it tells me invalid credentials due to invalid username and password. All right, let me fix it right quick. So I'm wondering if maybe what we need to do here for password. Man, this is odd. I'm trying to figure out why. How do we? I'm trying to replicate that error, right? So the error that the user is getting is authenticating against Office 365, invalid STS requests, but haven't been able to replicate it. Put in incorrect username. That's not the issue. I get a different error message. I tried incorrect password. That's not it. I tried the incorrect URL, and that I got a different error. Let's see, he did say my password contains @ characters. So, and I don't think it's multi-factor authentication. And of course, my viewers say he showed it to the IT admin, and then of course they said no, it's something. More likely something wrong with the code, and it can be potentially right. But I mean, I know it does the work. You know the way it is. I'm trying. The only thing I could think of if it is something wrong with the code is going to be if there happens to be any special characters like, let's see, that needs to be escaped. And ultimately that's causing issues when it converts it to an XML to send over for authentication. I'm just not sure where that issue would come from. So maybe let's do this. But that's the thing, I can't even replicate the issue though. Whenever I can't, so even if I put in let me try one of these invalid characters, right? So I could do single quotes. Let's see, what can I put in that potentially a full list of escape sequence can be found here. Let's take a look at it. So like single quotes is one of them. Double quotes is another one. Let me try some of these. Now, obviously, it's still authenticating. I mean, it's able to at least tell. That's why I'm wondering. Maybe that's not the issue. But let me try it out, right? So I'm going to do single quotes. Can I do double quotes? Nope, double quotes won't work either way. But I could do single quotes. One backslash. Nope, that wouldn't work. We would actually get an error message. Single quotes, the only thing I could think of. So let's try single quotes. Let me run it. Nope, right away it tells me invalid username or password, right? So even if there is a special character in there, it's able to identify that, hey, username, password is wrong. Let's see. So I'm going to assume username's fine, password is fine, URL's fine. So let me do this. Let me make the password blank. Oh man, I just thought about it. I wonder if he's, hopefully he's not doing that. I'm wondering if he's if he kept the curly brackets, because you're not supposed to, you are supposed to remove those. Hopefully not, man. So let me message him back. So I'm gonna say, can you confirm that the curly brackets let me answer this real quick. I'm doing fine. Okay, okay. So what do we need to do on our side? Okay, okay. Gotcha. Okay, no, sounds good. Okay. All right. You too. Okay, so let's get back. Which error did I get? Is neither invalid, blah blah blah. Okay, so here's the thing though, this what was strange is the only way that I was able to mimic that error message. Yep, there you go, see. And so whenever I run this, which of course doesn't have a valid email, it just has curly brackets, but doesn't have a valid email. Same thing with password. You know what? I just thought about that. Maybe that's what it is. For instance, let's say this is blank and this is blank, right? And let me put something for my domain. My domain, let me put I am Lou, because that is my right domain. Let me run it this way. see, I don't get that same error message. I'm actually getting a different error message. In this case, I'm actually getting no authentication credentials found, which is kind of odd. All right, so if I put email, password, which of course they're not valid, and again it says they cannot find so on and so on. I'm not sure why, but either way, because the URL is correct for this. Office 365, get security tokens, error authenticating, was not able to find an error. Again, which is a very odd, because normally this error is normally only provided when it's a on-prem. And I'm assuming, at least I thought that it determined that by the URL, which this URL is actually valid. IamLou is a valid URL, sharepoint.com. I'm wondering, I'm still curious if it has something to do with the curly brackets. Because my guess, when I put curly brackets, we get the same message. I get the same. This is the only way I'm able to replicate his error. When I put in curly brackets and I run it, boom, that's the error that he's getting. I guess let me move it to the side. There it goes. That's the error that he's getting. So let me do that for my actual file that has credentials. I'm going to put the right email account and the right password, but I'm going to put it all in curly brackets. Because I'm wondering, I'm hoping not, but I'm wondering if that's what he did. Which of course now is causing issues. So now let me go ahead and run it. Again, correct password, correct username, correct subdomain, but I put curly brackets around them. Boom, same error message. Okay, so I'm gonna assume that's what he's doing. Let me go ahead and message him. All right, let's see. Can you confirm that the curly brackets have been removed from username, password, and domain? Let me try to copy this in here. So I'm going to put this in here, Pashom. Subdomain. Subdomain. Site name. It will, damn it, what the hell? It will look something like below. All right. That's the only thing I could figure out, man. The only way I've been able to replicate it is when I include curly brackets. And I'm going to guess that maybe that's what he did. So just kind of sharing my screen. When you look at this, this is a sample that I provided. Again, the curly brackets were meant to be just a placeholder. Wasn't meant to be where you just change this and add your email. You know, wasn't meant to be like that. It was meant to be remove the curly brackets as well. So we'll see what actually happened, because I'm not sure what happened here. That's the only thing I could think of in this case, where I'm able to replicate the same error message that he's getting. So we'll see. Okay, so I think that's it, man. That's all I could do here. There's nothing else I could try to solve for this. I've done my part on trying to solve for this issue that he's having. Again, guys, check out my channel. Give me a like and follow if you can. You know, that's the main thing. You know, my main channel, I think, so the main focus of my channel is Python programming. I do other programming languages as well that I work in, you know, but Python is the one that I kind of want to narrow down and double down on and make my videos on. So it'll be Python, AWS web services, and then also Azure. So I'm going to start seeing more and more videos of me pushing out related to like Azure, how to use certain services, or how to incorporate have Python scripts that are doing certain actions, right? Like download from Sharepoint and upload to Azure and things of that nature. So be on the lookout for that, for these videos. Some of them I already have. Be on the lookout for new ones to come. So let's see. What time is it? So it's been about an hour. Again, man, I came in way later than I was trying to join, get on the live stream. The goal was to get on at 11 to 1. Of course, I didn't start until about 3:55 or so. So, I mean, that's pretty late. But hopefully next week, try to be more so on schedule. And again, guys, the purpose of the live streams is a lot of people have issues. I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of comments. Can you help me out? Can you help me out? I need help. I'm stuck, whatever. The live streams is for us to try to solve these problems live, right? You know, as you have questions, you could tell me, hey, I'm having the problem. Maybe it could be as simple as I cloned your code for this, you know, on the video that you made, but I'm having issues. Like I'm getting this error message. Can you help out? Things of that nature. Then we could walk through it. I think I had another error, another request. Let's see if we could go through that real quick. Let's see what error message they were receiving. I'm trying to find the email now. There it goes. So his error message was what? So I'm trying to see. So he's getting a server error found. So you can't even find the server, which is kind of odd. Yeah, that's an odd one. If you can't even access the URL at all. And then another one is 404 client error, not found, cannot find the URL. Again, that doesn't make sense. So he did try different sites, I could tell. Let me see, he sent one snapshot. I think I see the issue. Under his settings, configuration settings. Yeah, so let me respond back. All right, let me. I noticed that the URL in your config file is not matching with the URL in your screenshot. All right, so let's see, update the URL in config file to the following. It would be URL there it goes. And I think this should probably do it. What the hell, man, what's going on over here? Dude, it is acting funny now. Like, what the hell's going on? Okay, go ahead and try it out. Try it out. Go ahead and try it out again. All right, cool. Let's see. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for the live stream, man. Next week gonna be on sooner. Again, guys, the whole purpose of this is you have questions, you have any issues, we could walk through it live on the live stream. We could test things out. We could try to figure things out, get it, try to solve the problem. If you want me to review your code, if you need some help with creating some function or something, right? Whatever it is, this is the time to join the live stream, and I'll try to do what I can to help out. Python is very broad, dude. There's so many things you could do with Python, right? And there's a lot of stuff that I have used Python for in the past, but there's, without a doubt, there's some packages that will probably be brand new to me still, just because there's so many out there, and I only use what I need to on a need-to basis, right? I'm not learning every single package out there just to learn it. I learn as I need. So either way, even if it's something that I have not used in a while or never used before, we'll walk through it together. We'll read through the documentation. We'll do some testing, and we'll figure it out. Again, guys, those of you who joined, appreciate it. Give me a like, give me a follow. Again, I'll be on Friday. I do a live stream on Friday called Drink It With Lou, where I'm tasting new tequilas. We'll be talking tech, Python programming, AWS, all of that. So, and that's at 9 p.m. Central to around 11:30 p.m.